Hello, Jake and Daniel. How are you gentlemen today?
Doing great, Kev. Good to be here, buddy. How are you?
Great, man. Welcome back to our next episode of Trigger Point. And I've got I got a question that we've seen come in a few times here. And ironically, I also did a little research, and this is actually one of the most asked questions on AI in regards to all of our gun store and shooting range clients. So I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. It's gonna be a tough one. Are you guys ready?
Always. Let's do it.
Yes.
All right. What's the difference between paper and electronic 4473 forms? Tough one here, guys. So actually, I know this seems like pretty elementary, but let's just talk about this for a few minutes today here. So we'll keep this at a high level. But what's the difference between a paper and electronic 4473?
It's a good one. It's an interesting ask that's one of the most searched out there because historically, like with the adoption of technology in our industry, it was only, I think before paper, it was probably stone tablets and chisels is how you had to fill this stuff out in order to get one of those boomsticks. That 4473 being the federal document that's showing that transfer from a licensed person to a non-licensed, that's the largest piece of importance, I would say, when you're moving these firearms like that. Anybody who's ever filled out an official federal document or form knows the pain that it is that you have to go through and making sure that you can, one, read it, and then two, fill it out correctly. But over the years, it's moved into that electronic form, and so that just simply means, as opposed to someone having to sit down with the old ink pen and fill out all their information accurately without making any mistakes, I should add, which never happens. Now you're relying on that transfer of data from either your point of sale to over to that form, to where it's just as simple as, nowadays when we're all operating with any type of electronic email or even on your phone. I mean, when's the last time you actually signed something? We're all sending text messages. So that E4473 now is made some waves in the industry from an efficiency standpoint, for sure.
Gotcha. So to answer the question, what I just heard was a 4473 is a form the ATF requires for every over-the-counter firearms transaction. Is that correct? All right.
Would be correct. So if you don't have a federal firearms license and you're looking to take possession of that controlled item from a license, then you're going to be filling out a 4473, which all the gun shops are going to have to store in their library vault of all the transactions they've done.
Gotcha. Hence the paper 4473. So I do like the stone tablet and chisel, because it seems like just with my own personal, it's so much easier now just to do the paperwork than, sit down at the counter with a pen and fill it out and something was wrong, and then you had to redo the damn form. So So let's talk about some of the and again, full disclosure, we are not firearms attorneys and lawyers and legalese and all that. So we're just talking at a high level to answer questions for people who are just looking for some information. So obviously with the adoption of the E4473, let's just talk about that. So that's now basically what I'm hearing you say, Daniel, is that's just filling the information out on a tablet or on a computer versus having to sit there with the number 2 pencil. Is that right?
That's correct. That's great. And you can't do it with a number 2 pencil, by the way. It has to be in blue or black ink because that's what the federal government requires.
So we might have a bit of an expert there. So
that's just that's leftover from military days. So
yeah, it is. So let's talk about, Jake. Let me bring you in here. What's kind of the speed and the customer experience look like? So what have you seen, kind of being one of the foremost experts in the software industry when it comes to fire FFLs and all that stuff. So what have you seen? Any customer feedback or experience about this?
No. So, obviously the advantages of an electronic 4473 being built in, having that process built into your point of sale, like Trident 1 sitting right there at the counter. It allows, it allows the transaction to take place a lot quicker, right? You're like you mentioned, hey, paper, bound book, there's human error involved, right? You have to double check what the customer's filling out. Did they check the right boxes? Did they make a mistake? Did they, does their name match what's on their ID? Does their address, everything, does it all line up, right? The good thing about Trident 1 is, we've built it where they can do all that stuff on as simple as having a tablet in your dealer, in your retail shop, or a terminal. You just turn around, they fill it out, or you just text them a link and they can fill it out right on their phone, right? So it makes that part of it really unique. And Trident 1, we integrate with currently the industry's leading electronic bound book, and that's FastBound. And FastBound is backed by legal protection from one of the industry's leading kind of lawyer type folks that keep up with all the variances in compliance, right? Every state is different. The 4473 form I hear is changing now with the new ATF director. There's some changes being made to that federal document. So we make sure that our dealers are constantly through those partnerships that we have integrated seamlessly into Trident 1. We make sure first that you're in compliance. You're using the right form, right? Because again, these 4473s change. And then you're conducting the transaction legally with the rules of your state at the state level, right? Obviously, look at California and New York and some of these other kind of states that they're weight states, the Brady bill. There might be a timeline that you can't release the gun in a different than Texas, right? Like, so there's different variances through. So, the industry standard, we make sure we keep up with the industry standard 4473. So the electronic form flows directly into the bound book, connects it to the NICS system, which does the background checks, right? And that happens, in a seamless workflow instead of 3 separate processes, right? So we've tried to streamline it down as best as possible, take the human error out of it as much as possible, put some checks and balances, reconciliations within our system, within FastBound, to make sure, hey, you forgot to check this box, or hey, this isn't matching up, to make sure to keep the dealer ultimately in compliance, right? And I think Trident 1, our system integrating FastBound into our system, making sure that whole transaction process with the electronic 4473 is 100% compliant, right?
Outstanding. Great feedback there, Jake. Appreciate that. I know a lot of our people listening will too. So, you know what? I promised I'd keep this one short today. I told you guys we had a very one of the most asked questions out there, and it seems so simple, but it gets pretty complex. So, especially if you're the business owner that's let's just say is legally responsible, or you're on the line when you're selling or transferring firearms. So I like I said, a great commentary. So if anybody wants to know anything more about what's in between a paper versus an electronic 4473, I'm pretty sure they can look either one of you experts up. And I think with that, I'd say we're good to go, guys. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you answering these questions for us.
You got it, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, buddy. Have a good one.
Take care.
See you guys.